Hey everyone, let's learn how to make a 4-point tie-dye snowflake. We just talked about Michael Phelan, the contemporary artist, and how he created those beautiful tie-dye artworks with radial symmetry, and we also discussed how snowflakes also have radial symmetry, so why not combine the two concepts? Please note that you will be using scissors in this project, so please have an adult nearby to help you if you don't feel comfortable using scissors. What we're going to need today is a piece of paper, some scissors, and we're also going to need something to color with. Now I have markers and crayons here, but I'm going to be using markers for my example. So we have our piece of paper tall ways. What we're going to do is take our upper right hand corner and fold it over to meet the left edge of our paper. You can see that I'm trying to carefully line up the edges so that they meet very, very accurately and perfectly. It's very important to get this part right because we're creating a square. So let's take a closer look here. You can see that I'm trying to make those corners meet perfectly, as well as the edges of my paper. And once it looks good, you can carefully hold everything in place and crease. Just like that. So what we're doing right now is creating a square piece of paper. What we're going to do next is carefully cut off this rectangle portion. So I have my scissors. Again, I'm going to be very careful using my scissors. If you don't feel confident using scissors, please ask an adult for help. So I cut off that rectangle, and now I am left with this perfect square piece of paper. After you've unfolded your paper, we are ready to create our tie-dye design. I'm finding the center point on my paper. That is where everything will radiate out from. And I'm just going to use my first color, and I'm going to start creating these sort of scribbly type lines going in a circle. It almost looks like I'm making a quick drawing of a flower. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm not being perfect with it. I'm trying to take my time, but I'm not drawing each shape very carefully. I'm just kind of letting the marker do its thing. You can see that I rotate my paper as I am making my up and down, back and forth motions here. I'm going to speed this video up so you don't have to watch me draw everything very slowly here. So I'm continuing and I'm switching off my colors. I started with a light blue, then violet, and now a darker blue, and I'm just going and creating these concentric circles. Concentric circles are circles that are on top of each other and get bigger as they go outward. So I started with a small circle on the inside, and I'm drawing circles that get bigger and bigger and bigger. They all have that central point. So these concentric circles have radial symmetry. You can tell that I am using lots of cool colors today. I like using cool colors. I think they look beautiful. But if you want to use warm colors or even mix both of your colors, like you want to use reds and oranges and blues, that's totally fine with me. You can choose whatever colors you want your tie-dye to be. Now you can see here that I have some little white spots between my scribbles. That's okay. Actually, including tiny little white areas will help to make your tie-dye look even more realistic, like a real tie-dye artwork. Okay, I'm going to switch it up, guys and girls. I'm going to use a warm color on the outer edge just because. So I have some yellow that I'm adding to the edge here of my paper. And finally, just some light green to finish everything off. Okay, here is my completed tie-dye artwork that has radial symmetry. Now let's make that snowflake, shall we? We are going to refold our paper on that first fold that we used to create our square piece of paper. So it should already be folded or creased, so we're just going to fold it and crease it again on that same line. Next, we're going to take this right corner and fold it over so that it meets perfectly with that other corner. Here's a closer look. You see that I'm carefully trying to line those two corners up. Once they are perfectly lined up, then I can look at my other corner and try to make sure that that is perfectly lined up as well. Once both of your corners are perfecto, then you can start to crease your fold. Make sure that you're holding your paper down so that your corners don't get messed up, and carefully fold and crease right there. Now we are left with this beautiful triangular folded piece of paper. We're going to do the same thing again though. We're going to fold it in half one more time so that our two corners meet. I'm carefully making sure that I'm lining up all of my corners, and once they're lined up, I am folding down and creasing. I'm actually going to grab a marker and just use the bottom of my marker to really crease. Just run that marker along the line to get a nice, secure, and tight crease. Okay, there we go. Now we are ready to start cutting out our snowflake design. Again, boys and girls, if you don't feel confident using scissors, please get an adult's help, okay? It's very important that you are safe with your art supplies, especially when we are using scissors. Okay, so let's talk about our snowflake design. So I'm grabbing a pen because I want to show you that you can pre-plan your design. You can draw out the different shapes that you want to cut out for your snowflake. Now, the most important part is that you don't cut through. You don't want to do that. If you cut all the way through your triangle, you will have just a bunch of little pieces of paper and not a beautiful symmetrical snowflake. You can see here that I am drawing some designs. I could draw some more there. I'm just going to draw these three and then show you what to do. So I drew my designs. They almost look like waves or shark fin designs, and I am going to now carefully cut those designs out with my scissors. You can see that I'm going nice and slow, and I'm cutting away from myself, making sure my fingers aren't in the way. Then I'm going to pull out the little piece of paper that falls out. I'm going to do this on each of my little designs that I drew. Now you don't have to draw out your designs. You could just go in with your scissors and just wing it. That's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to show you how I decide to cut out different shapes and where I cut them out. So I have my little designs. Again, if you want to plan those out, feel free, draw them out. Please remember though, don't cut all the way through. We want to cut out designs on each side of our triangle. You don't want to cut all the way through. Okay, you see I'm left with all these beautiful little confetti pieces. You could save those for a party or throw them away or use them for a different art project if you'd like. Okay, so I'm just continuing to cut out some designs here, being careful. I sped up the video, I'm not really cutting this fast. You can see that some of my designs that I'm cutting out are organic shapes and some are more geometric shapes like triangles. Again, I'm going to say it just for repetition's sake, make sure that you don't cut through to the other side of your triangle, or you will be left with 100 little pieces of paper and probably some sadness in your heart. So please make sure that you watch this video carefully. Make sure that you just have designs on each side. I hope that that makes sense. Please let me know if you have questions, if it's confusing. So I'm just making another little cut here and there, trying to, I don't know, complete it, make it look how I want it to look. I just kind of winged it there with my designs that I cut out. Some of you may want to draw them. You might be more organized than I am. Okay, so you see, here's the magical part, the most fun part. And boys and girls, I know this part's exciting, so don't rush through it. Very carefully and slowly unfold your snowflake design. Okay, the big reveal. Whoa, Nelly, look at that tie-dyed snowflake. It has so much radial symmetry, not only in the tie-dye design with the concentric circles, but also with my shapes. I have similar shapes on all corners of my design. Everything is radiating out from that central point. You can see here that I have similar shapes on each side, so it has some symmetry going on. Wowza. Okay, so colorful. Now, if you're not really into the colorful vibe, you can always flip your tie-dye snowflake over to have a white snowflake, which is more, I guess, realistic. Snowflakes are not usually tie-dyed. So it's your choice which way you want to display your snowflake. Now, I love hanging these from my ceiling in my house for a holiday design or taping them on the wall. If you're going to do that, make sure that you ask your adult in your house first before taping it anywhere. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you had fun creating your very cool tie-dye snowflakes. If you want to learn how to create a 6-pointed snowflake, go on to the next video. Have fun!